Accessible parking is often associated with wheelchairs, but it is just as important for individuals who rely on crutches. Walking with crutches requires balance, upper body strength, coordination, and endurance. Even short distances across large parking lots can be exhausting or unsafe. Understanding how accessible parking works, what regulations apply, and how to use a disability parking permit responsibly can make daily life significantly more manageable for crutch users. Using crutches places unique physical demands on the body. Each step requires controlled movement and stability. Uneven pavement, steep inclines, puddles, loose gravel, or icy surfaces can increase the risk of slipping or falling. For someone recovering from surgery, managing a temporary injury, or living with a long-term mobility condition, minimizing walking distance is not just about convenience. It is about safety and energy conservation. Accessible parking spaces are designed to reduce these challenges. They are typically located close to building entrances and are clearly marked with signage and pavement symbols. These spaces are wider than standard parking spots, often including an adjacent access aisle with diagonal striping. While access aisles are especially critical for wheelchair ramps and lifts, the extra space can also benefit crutch users by providing more room to open doors fully and exit vehicles carefully. Regulations for accessible parking are governed at both federal and state levels. While specific requirements may vary slightly by location, certain standards remain consistent. Accessible spaces must be clearly identified with signage. A specific number of spaces must be available based on the size of the parking facility. Some spaces must be designated as van accessible, which includes additional width and vertical clearance. For crutch users, even if a van accessible space is not required, having adequate room to maneuver is extremely helpful. Opening a car door fully allows for safer transfers. It also provides space to position crutches securely before standing up. To legally park in an accessible space, individuals must have a valid disability parking permit. This permit is typically issued by the state's motor vehicle department after medical certification confirms that the individual has a qualifying mobility impairment. Conditions that may qualify include temporary injuries, post-surgical recovery, chronic joint disorders, neurological conditions, and other impairments that significantly limit walking. It is important to follow the proper application process when requesting a disability parking permit. This usually involves completing an application form and obtaining verification from a licensed medical professional. Once approved, the permit must be displayed clearly whenever parked in an accessible space. Failure to display the permit properly can result in fines even if the individual qualifies. There are generally two types of disability parking permits: temporary and permanent. Temporary permits are often issued for conditions such as broken bones, recent surgeries, or short-term injuries that limit mobility for a defined period. Permanent permits are issued for long-term or lifelong mobility impairments. Understanding which category applies to your situation ensures compliance with local regulations. Accessible parking laws also exist to prevent misuse. Parking in a designated accessible space without a valid permit can lead to significant fines and penalties. Misuse not only violates the law, but also reduces availability for those who truly need these accommodations. For crutch users, arriving at a destination only to find accessible spaces occupied improperly can create unnecessary hardship. In addition to regulations, there are practical tips that can improve the experience of using accessible parking as a crutch user. First, choose your parking spot carefully. If multiple accessible spaces are available, select one with the most level surface. Sloped areas can make standing up with crutches more difficult. Avoid spaces where water pools or where pavement appears uneven or cracked. Second, position your vehicle to maximize door clearance. Even within an accessible space, careful parking alignment can make a difference. Center your vehicle within the lines to ensure adequate space on both sides if needed. Third, take your time when exiting the vehicle. Place both crutches securely on the ground before standing. Ensure your footing is stable before fully transferring your weight. Rushing increases the risk of losing balance. Fourth, remain mindful of weather conditions. Rain, snow, and ice can create hazardous surfaces. Wearing appropriate footwear with good traction can reduce slipping. If access aisles are blocked by snow or debris, report the issue to property management so it can be addressed. Fifth, plan ahead when visiting unfamiliar locations. Larger facilities such as hospitals, shopping centers, and event venues often have multiple accessible entrances. Knowing where these entrances are located can help you choose the most convenient parking space. For those who use crutches temporarily due to injury, it can feel uncomfortable to apply for a disability parking permit. Some individuals worry that others may judge them because their injury is not immediately visible. However, accessible parking exists precisely to support individuals during periods of limited mobility, whether temporary or permanent. Using the permit appropriately is both lawful and practical. For individuals with chronic conditions, energy management becomes especially important. Walking long distances with crutches can lead to fatigue, increased pain, or strain on other joints. By parking closer to entrances, crutch users can conserve energy for the activities that matter most, whether that is attending a medical appointment, grocery shopping, or participating in social events. Accessible parking is one part of a broader accessibility framework. Curb ramps, automatic doors, smooth sidewalks, and properly maintained pathways all contribute to safer navigation. When these features work together, mobility challenges become more manageable. If you encounter obstacles such as blocked access aisles, faded markings, or missing signage, consider reporting them to property management or local authorities. Advocacy helps maintain accessibility standards and ensures that spaces remain usable for everyone who depends on them. It is also important to understand that accessible parking permits are typically valid across state lines, though local rules regarding display and enforcement may vary. If traveling, familiarize yourself with regional guidelines to avoid confusion. In daily life, accessible parking can significantly improve independence. It reduces physical strain, lowers the risk of falls, and makes routine errands less daunting. For crutch users balancing on narrow supports, even a few safe steps can make a meaningful difference. Respect and awareness from the broader community also play a vital role. Drivers without permits should never use accessible spaces, even for a brief stop. Education about the purpose of these spaces fosters greater empathy and compliance. Ultimately, accessible parking for crutch users is about safety, dignity, and practicality. Mobility impairments come in many forms, and not all are visible. A properly issued and displayed disability parking permit provides lawful access to spaces designed to reduce physical hardship. By understanding regulations, applying for the appropriate permit, choosing parking spaces strategically, preparing for environmental conditions, and advocating for proper enforcement, crutch users can navigate parking areas with greater confidence. Accessible parking is not a luxury. It is an essential accommodation that supports recovery, manages chronic conditions, and promotes full participation in daily life. With the right knowledge and preparation, crutch users can make the most of these important accessibility resources while maintaining safety and independence. We hope this video helped answer your questions. If you need a handicapped placard or plate and want to avoid the confusion and long wait times, visit handicappedparking.com. Our licensed doctors are available online to help you from the comfort of your home, making the process simple and stress-free. Subscribe for more helpful information on disabled parking permits and leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.